Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and we're going to tie up a few loose ends, stuff that I didn't finish with projects, things that I did that you don't know how it came out, and things like that, you know. And one of the things that you guys didn't know how it came out was when I put a one-piece drop-in trigger into this Scary Bike 22 rifle. I told you I wasn't taking you to the range with me, and I didn't. And by the way, that's Chuck Bomarito's sticker right up there. Let me see if I can get the camera where it for sure shows it. Right up there, outside Screwball. Anyway, I didn't take you guys to the range, so you didn't know how the drop-in trigger worked. Well, I can tell you, it totally turned it into a decent trigger pull instead of feeling like I was trying to break off a 2x4 or something. But I got to the range and I fired bang bang, and then click, eject, click, eject, click, eject. After about 6 or 7 times like that, I laid the thing down and looked, and there was barely the tiniest little dent in the rim of the rimfire cartridges, which meant that the hammer just wasn't falling hard enough to do anything. So I got on the Smith & Wesson forum and checked out what other people were doing that might have that problem, and sure enough, other people had it, and their cure was to cut 1/4 of an inch off the firing pin spring. And so I did that, went back to the range, and it was bang 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 bang. So now I got a decent trigger, and it works like it did before. Okay, so, and I know this is probably not, there'll be a little machining in this too. But there was another thing that I did, and let's see if this is the one that's got it in it. I got curious about some of the stuff with the red dot sights, because normally there's no magnification, but I saw one advertised with a 2-time magnification. In other words, stuff looks double the size. So I got it. Now, this is not a sponsored product. I paid my own money to Amazon for it. Anyway, like all of the TruGlo sights that I've touched, if you go to pull up these little Mickey Mouse ears, sometimes it takes the little rubber thing off of there, you know. And same with this one. Anyway, this guy has a dot that's 2.5 MOA, 2.5 minutes of angle, which is half the size of the red dot that this one's got. So I've got 2 times magnification, and I've got half the size of a red dot, so it gets it into the category of one that you could shoot at bullseyes with, because the dot won't cover up the bullseye. And I will show you what the 2 dots look like so you can see the difference. You can't tell a lot of difference with a 2-time magnification, although there is a slight difference, but it's not a lot. Anyway, hang loose and I'll line them up where you can see both dots. Did I mention that that's Chuck Bomarito's channel sticker? I guess I probably did. I can't help it, Chuck. The devil made me do it. Alright, we'll get on to the next part here. Alright, with the camera pointing at the nastier, less clean part of the shop, there is the 5-ohm MOA red dot, and right beside it is the 2.5 MOA. I'm not sure. There we go. You can sort of see them both at the same time. There we go. That's how to show them. It's really hard to coordinate, but anyway, that's what they look like at max intensity. So, like I say, I bought it myself to play with, and I took both to the range, of course, and they work just fine, and I really like it. So now we got a little machining and a couple other things to do, so y'all just hang on and we'll get with it. I've been planning for a long time to make one of those little bearing pushers that like Double Bush uses to straighten things up in the chuck. And So I guess this is probably a really good time to do it. Starting right there on the bandsaw. Alright, I took the indicator and put it on each of the flats and moved it side to side until if it's on the flats, they look like they're within a thousandth or so. If you go over the corners, roll it around, there's one corner that shows probably to be about 5 thousandths further out than the rest. But I don't think that this particular device needs that kind of accuracy, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and turn it around, and then we'll cut it down to size to fit that bearing that I've got. I believe it's 12 millimeter in the hole. Alright, this round, let's see how big it is. Alright, it's a little under 3/4. This bearing is .388. So that's where we're going to start at. I started this project here the other day, and I got interrupted in the middle of it and had to actually take the chuck off and put the other chuck on and try to machine a bearing to hold up the bottom of the shower door, and that wasn't really satisfactory, so that progressed into me buying a shower door and replacing it and all kind of other stuff. So I'm not sure where the video is of me setting this thing up. So if I find it, I'll stick it into the right spot, and if I don't, I'll magically start out here with this piece centered up in the chuck. Alright. So anyway, I wanted to fit this bearing, and it's I think that hole in the middle is about 10 millimeters or something. I better check it. Okay, so .363, and that in millimeters is 9.21 millimeters. Might not have been zeroed good. Yeah, it's more like 9.91 millimeters. So that's what we're going to go for. Only we're going to go for it in inches. 3.91 thousandths. 391 thousandths. I'll get it said. Anyway, get this parting tool off. This tool back on there. And let's see if we can get to 391 thousandths. Let's see where we're at now. We're at 646. We got a long way to go. Any luck, this is half stop. smaller than I wanted it. That just slipped on. You know, when it was straight it did. Yeah, that's looser than I want. So I've got more back here. I can start over. I think that's what I'll do. I'll come back when I get this all straightened out, and then we'll proceed on from there. Alright, this time I wound up with a little shaft half a thousandth larger than the hole in the bearing, so that's not focused well. Alright, come on, come back and focus. So what we're going to do is I'll make the shoulder behind the bearing there, and then we'll have to take this thing over to the mill and cut it down to 1/2 inches on a side so that it will fit. In case I don't find the other part of the video, I'm making a push stick like Double Boost has got, you know, for lining up wobbly things in the 3-jaw chuck. Okay, so I'll come out of here and move on to the little Grizzly mill, which I've been reminded is a mill drill several times by the big boys. Alright, so what we're going to do here is try to make it 1/2 inch wide on, you know, the sides there, because my tool holders hold 1/2 inch tools, maybe a tiny bit above it, but certainly not 3/4 inch like this is. So I'll be cutting it down somewhat, and I'm not going to be, you know, to the 1,000th kind of thing. I'm going to run this thing down till I see it make chips, and then I'm going to zero the Z-axis or Z-axis, whichever one you got, and I'm going to just take her down 250 thousandths and roll it over and take off 250 off of the other side, which will make this a little out of to one side, which is okay too. I think that might enhance the function. Alright, now that's actually probably 2 or 3 thousandths down into the surface at my 0 point, but I think I should be able to cut about 100 thousandths with this thing, considering the size of the end mill. So that's what I'm going to set it for. It's just about 100 thousandths, somewhere in there. That'll get down and interfere with the sleeve that I'm, you know, the backing part I made for the bearing, which is okay too. Come on down just a little bit more here. Well, just till I get the lay of the land, we'll put it on 65 thousandths and 67, whatever it takes, and we'll try that. I'll try to knock some of the noise out of this thing. People always ask me, why is your little Grizzly so noisy? It's because this dang top up here flops up and down like crazy with the vibration. I stuck a rag in there, maybe that'll stop it. Alright, let's see what we can do if we machine this thing. Have a little WD-40 substitute. Okay, so I understand that the depth of cut with an end mill should be limited to no more than half its diameter. Well, that's a 5/8 end mill, and I only want to cut 1/4 of an inch. So if I just roll this over 1/4 of a turn, I'll already be at the proper depth for that side. I wonder if you can't cut it like that. I'm going to try it. I haven't got much to lose. I'm going to try to just make this one pass up, one pass back. I've got it set to cut 125 thousandths. So after giving it more thought, I've obviously got to cut 125 thousandths off of every side, or I'll mess up my little piece in the middle, you know, on the end there. So away we go. Now that's a considerable pile of chips, so I'll put y'all to sleep while I vacuum it up and roll the thing over. Alright, so when it kind of clears the workpiece there, this thing will be finished cutting it all down, and we'll press the bearing on it, and it'll be a finished project or product. This is actually a tying up loose ends kind of a project, so there'll be other things. Well, I was aiming at a 1/2 inch for this thing, and I got 2 thousandths under on one side and 2 thousandths over on the other. So it's plus or minus 5 thousandths. I'll go back and revise the drawing, And now I need to press the bearing on here, and that's just exactly what I've got this little arbor press for. It doesn't get a lot of use, but today it's just the right size to do something delicate like that. But I've got the bearing about, I would say 1/2 thousandth smaller than the piece I'm putting it on. So what we'll do is we will, if this thing doesn't walk off the table, we'll push the little booger down in there. I think. I may have to run that handle out for more leverage. It's going, but I need that burned arbor press anchored down. Yeah, it wants to move sideways on me every time. All right, there we go. Come around here and make sure I get it. Yeah, that's tight. All right, so here we are. A double boost pusher to line things up in the 3-jaw chuck. I guess we might as well demonstrate it. Alright, so the idea behind this little pusher thing is, if you've got something in the chuck that's not turning perfectly straight, and this may actually be machined off center, in which case I won't really get it straight, but the idea is to take the wobble out of it. See it wobbling around there? I don't know that I can take the wobble out or not, because it may have been machined crooked by me. We'll look at that. That's a great deal steadier than it was when I put it in there. You can see that. That's the idea. And if it's something wobbling this direction, you just turn this thing around so the bearing comes at it in that manner. You can straighten up quite a lot with this little fella. Just run it up there and touch it. Like I say, I don't know if the hole through the center of that thing's really on line good or not, but that's how it works. Double Loop's got a lot of neat ideas there, so I copy one every now and then. One of these days I'm going to get around to making a double boost handle for my tool poster. I don't know if you can see the tool poster or not. Zoom back out because I can't see it. Anyway, I'm going to put a double loose handle on here someday. That'll be a loose end to tie up some other time. From time to time, you got to replenish your supplies, and so that's what I'm doing today. While I've got this hopper of powder up here, I'm going to try to empty that out because I don't think it's good for it to stay there a long time sitting in the little hopper like that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to make ourselves a bunch of reloads here. And we're going to take this guy we just made, rub him in the gauge there to find out that he's smooth down in there. Part of quality control, you know. Now, we've got a bad one over there. It's crooked. So we'll have to eliminate him. Let me see here. I'll just rotate this guy around till I remove the offender. Somehow I let him get in crooked. That doesn't happen very often. In fact, hardly ever. But I did it that time. So that was in fact one of the small primer jobs, and he pushed up the little pin there. So what I'll have to do is just go back and reseat it. Alright, it's time for a test round, and got one here with a primer inserted. Set him on there and get the tear weight. Alright, and then we'll put him back in to the system here. Add powder. Alright, we added powder. Come back over here and weigh the little booger. That looks a little heavy. So we'll go through that all over again. Still a little bit heavy. Have to readjust the darn thing. Alright, we're right at the upper limit there, 6.2 grains, which fits alright. It'll wobble around if you leave it sitting there. There's something about this scale that gets a little off if you leave it set and turned on a long time. But nevertheless, quality control keeps them right. Alright, it seems like Ole and Sven went south for a vacation, and they were starting getting kind of low on money, and they run across this guy named Bubba. Told him he had an uncle, Bubba, that needed a roof fixed on his barn. So they took the job. So Ole and Sven are up there on the roof working away their hammers and stuff, and the wind come along and blew away the ladder. So Ole, you know, he looks at Sven and says, "Hey Sven, how are we going to get down from here?" And Sven says, "I don't know, Ole." He says, "Let me look around a while." So he comes back from the other side of the barn and says, "Ole," he says, "there's a pile of manure down there." He says, "We can jump off into the manure and it'll be soft and break our fall." So Ole says, well, Sven, he says, it's your idea. You jump off first, you know. So sure enough, Sven jumps off the barn, and Ole says, Sven, how deep is it? And Sven yells back up, it's just up to my ankles. So Ole jumps off, splat, you know, and while they're climbing out of the manure pile, Ole looks at Sven and he says, Sven, what in the devil did you do telling me that this was just up to your ankles? He says, it was up to my ears. And Sven says, well, he says, I jumped off head first. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.